Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Grace, and in today's video I'll be going over all the perfumes in my collection that have a coconut note. I absolutely enjoy coconut and fragrances. However, the coconut has to be done in a certain way for me to absolutely love it. And when I think of coconut fragrances, it automatically takes me to a tropical island where there's this beach with the sand and the salty water. It just takes me there. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is putting these specific perfumes in different categories. Some of these perfumes may be part of two different categories at the same time, but to keep it fun, I decided to force myself to only put it under one category. And I hope you find it fun, just a little entertaining. So definitely leave your favorite coconut perfumes down below as well, as I would love to keep finding out what other perfumes I'm missing out on. So let's go ahead and get started with the first category, which is refreshing coconut, which to me and my nose has a cooling, watery effect to the scent. So let's go ahead and get started with the first perfume, which is Coconut Sun by the Seven Virtues. This has top notes of coconut water and citruses, mid notes of frangipani, sea salt, Egyptian jasmine, and rose, and then base notes of vanilla. The opening is definitely refreshing because of the coconut water and citruses. Then, because there is frangipani and sea salt, you still get a beachy, summery feel from it, but this still leans clean and fresh, not buttery or sunscreen like other coconut fragrances tend to. And you get a hint of sweetness from the florals and the vanilla, but this is not too sweet. So this is the perfect balance with all these notes, and I absolutely love how refreshing it can be for the summer. It's definitely a good one to have for the season for sure. However, in my opinion, this is the only fragrance in my collection that leans refreshing, and I don't feel like the other perfumes that I have in my collection fall under this category. So we're just going to go ahead and move on to the second one and find out what perfumes I believe fall under those categories. So then I also have perfumes that lean more tropical with that coconut. So they're very beachy and they tend to lean a little bit warm. And some of these may have a hint of florals mixed with that coconut. So here's Miami Nectar by Ellis Brooklyn. This has top notes of coconut water, pineapple, and palm leaf, mid notes of frangipani, wild jasmine, and lily of the valley, and then base notes of vanilla, driftwood, amberwood, and moss. The opening to me is definitely a tropical fruity sweetness. I get the beautiful refreshing coconut mixed with the pineapple, and then I get the florals, but to me, the coconut is very dominant in here mixed with that pineapple. So throughout the dry down, I get the coconut. And this is definitely something that reminds me of the beach, but this is not your typical tropical beachy scent. It doesn't lean buttery or sunscreen at all to my nose. And I definitely wanted to add this under the refreshing coconut category because you do get that refreshing fruitiness from it. However, because I found it very tropical at the same time, I found it better under this category specifically. This is definitely an uplifting scent and a different take on the tropical scent profile for sure, but one I feel that is also perfect for a summer vacation. So this is why I had to add it to this category, but let's go ahead and move on to the next perfume. So now I have Dolce Garden by Dolce & Gabbana. This has top notes of magnolia, neroli, and mandarin orange, mid notes of coconut, frangipani, and ylang-ylang, and then base notes of vanilla absolute, almond milk, and sandalwood. Upon initial spray, I definitely get that burst of florals. And as it starts to dry down, I get the coconut mixed with the florals. So definitely you have to be a floral lover in order to appreciate this fragrance. It's creamy and sweet, and the coconut with that frangipani give it that tropical vibe to it. Again, since I don't like coconut scents that lean synthetic or like a buttery sunscreen smell on me, this gives me that perfect balance of florals, coconut, and vanilla. But again, you have to be a floral lover in my opinion. And I think that coconut gives it that tropical feel that I want. Mixed with the vanilla, it's perfect. And for these next two, I don't have full bottles of, but I do have the travel sprays, which are both Alien Goddess and Alien Goddess Intense by Mugler. These definitely do have some similar notes, but I'll be going over those and the difference between the two. So let's go ahead and get started with the first one, which will be Alien Goddess EDP. This has top notes of coconut water and bergamot, mid notes of jasmine and heliotrope, and then base notes of bourbon vanilla and cashmere. So here's another one that I believe has a good balance with those white florals and the coconut water. To me, it has a warmer feel to it. It's got that sweetness from the vanilla, but then at the same time, it leans tropical. It does have a slight hint of that suntan lotion, which is why to me it also leans tropical, because it gives me that reminder of the beach and whatnot. Yet at the same time, it's got a creaminess to it, and there is something refreshing about it at the same time. However, like I said in the beginning, it does lean floral, but that coconut definitely saves it from being overly floral. And next up, we have Alien Goddess Intense. This has top notes of coconut and bergamot, mid notes of jasmine and jasmine tea, and base notes of vanilla, benzoin, and cashmere wood. This is another coconut vanilla, but with the jasmine being much more intense in my opinion. Again, this also leans creamy and tropical, but it does have that floral aspect to it. And I do prefer the Alien Goddess over this one. And I know a lot of people prefer this one over the original, but I do get a lot more of the coconut in the Alien Goddess, whereas the Intense, I get a lot more of that jasmine mixed with the coconut. However, I think that both have done the coconut very well because both perfumes, I don't get that buttery type of sunscreen smell. So as long as I don't get that, in my opinion, the coconut is done well. So again, I wanted to place both of these under that tropical coconut mixed with the florals because they both do that with different intensities. So depending on which one you prefer, these are both perfect for summer either way. So let's move on to the last category, which is a powdery coconut. This is going to be the type of scent that leans creamy, sweet, milky, and it's got a powdery effect to it. So whether it's mixed with that creaminess, it's a little dry type of coconut, you might still find some florals in there, but you're still gonna find it refreshing and milky. So very creamy type of vibes, and this is the category with the most perfumes on it. So here I have Kayali's Utopia Vanilla Cocoa 21. The top notes are coconut milk, honeysuckle, pear blossom, and Italian lemon, mid notes of tuberose, jasmine sambac, gardenia, and amberette, and then base notes of bourbon vanilla, sandalwood, musk, and patchouli. To me, this is a creamy coconut, white floral, vanilla sweetness. There is something elevated about this type of coconut, and it could very well be the white florals that are giving it that effect, but this also leans powdery, creamy, sweet, like a warm, milky coconut scent. This does have a hint of a sunscreen smell to it, but in here, it's done in a very creamy way. I don't get any of the buttery type of sunscreen smell in here, and then I also don't get much of the patchouli. I do get that coconut, the florals, the vanilla, and the sandalwood, and I think it's a very balanced mixture within the notes. Then I have La Nuit Trésor Nude by Lancome. This has top notes of bergamot, middle notes of rose, and base notes of vanilla and coconut. This has a sweet creaminess to it, and another good one that has the perfect balance between the vanilla and the coconut. I think the brightness of the bergamot with the rose makes this a bit more perfumey, and then you're left with a creamy vanilla coconut in the base. I wouldn't say that this is a tropical or beachy coconut, but rather a creamy floral sweet coconut. And next up, I have a perfume from Kyse or Kyse Perfumes. I'm not really sure how it's pronounced, but this is Coco a la Vanilla. This has notes of coconut, vanilla bean, whipped cream, and tonka bean. This is a creamy, sweet, lactonic type of coconut, leaning very gourmand. I don't find this to be too cloying, even though this is a rich, creamy coconut with vanilla and whipped cream, but rather just the perfect sweetness from that vanilla and that whipped cream combined with the coconut. But this is not complex at all, as you can see by the notes. This is definitely a type of coconut sweet scent that I would rather wear in the cooler days, because that whipped cream does give it that milky type of vibe, but definitely one that I had to put under this creamy category. Next up, I have Coconut Palm by Mixbar. This has notes of coconut, vanilla, woody notes, sandalwood, musk, salt, and seaweed. This is a woody coconut that is still sweet, but not overly sweet, a bit powdery and lactonic, and yet that musk in here gives it a refreshing aspect to it. But this is a creamy freshness. It's perfect on its own or layered with other fragrances. It's light and airy, and then at the same time, it becomes this woody, sweet skin scent with a touch of that coconut. So it still reminds me of summer. It definitely gives me beach vibes at the same time, but it's got that creaminess to it. So definitely one that I appreciate, that I can layer with other fragrances if I want to. Next up, I have Light de Coco by Monde Gourmand. This has top notes of bergamot, mid notes of coconut, and then base notes of vanilla and praline. With this, you get a freshness of the bergamot in the opening, but then as it starts to dry down to my nose, it becomes a sweet, lactonic, creamy coconut, but mostly vanilla in the dry down. It's light and soft, and like the Mixbar Coconut Palm, it's also great for layering with other fragrances. But again, this is just an easy reach, nothing complex. I don't get any sunscreen smell from this fragrance, but this is definitely something that will still remind you of summer. Next up, I have Ariana Grande's Cloud. I'm sure everyone has smelled this, so I won't take up too much time with it. But this to me is another sweet, lactonic, creamy coconut scent. This has that lavender in there, that pear, and that whipped cream. And to me, it's the perfect mixture. I mostly get the whipped cream with the coconut, but the lavender and the musk just give it that freshness, clean vibe to it. This is one that I truly enjoy, but honestly, you smell this a lot on a lot of people, and one that I haven't worn in a while because of that reason, but one that I had to include on here because it still is that perfect balance within the coconut. Now, going into the Ariana Grande's Cloud Intense, this has a lot of the same notes that the original does, but again, I prefer this one a lot more than the original because it's got ambroxan in here, and I still get that whipped cream with the lavender, with the vanilla and the coconut, and it's just really nice. But I think it's the ambroxan in here that makes it a little bit more intense, and I much prefer that over the original. And since we're already on Ariana Grande, why not finish it off with Cloud Pink? This is one that I only have a travel size of, but it leans a lot more fruity than the original or Cloud Intense. I still get a creamy tropical sweetness from this with that very juicy opening from the pineapple, but I get that coconut in here. And you will still get the original Cloud DNA with this, but with a fruity aspect. And I still get a creamy musk in the dry down as well, and one I may consider getting a full bottle of at some point. All right, so those are the categories I had for my coconut scents in my collection. Now I'm going to move on to something a little bit different because I do know that a few of you enjoy fragrance mists as well. And I enjoy layering body mist with my fragrances, so I had to include Coconut Passion by Victoria's Secret. This definitely leans a bit gourmand. It's a sweet coconut vanilla. It still leans warm and tropical, but it's an easy reach, and it's not overly sweet in my opinion, but it does have a slight sunscreen smell to it. And one that I truly enjoy for layering with other fragrances in the summer. So this one I had to include because you can definitely find this in Victoria's Secret year-round. Also in my collection is this pink body mist iced coconut. This says to have frozen coconut, chilled air, and sweet cream. This is definitely creamier and a lot sweeter than Coconut Passion. And I really enjoy wearing this with other fragrances, but I feel like because it leans a lot sweeter, I prefer this on a much more cooler summer day. And then finally in my collection is this whipped coconut milkshake from Bath and Body Works. This has vanilla ice cream, toasted coconut, and sugared amber. The notes in here are lovely, and this is also one of my favorite out of the three that I have here with a coconut scent. This, I think, leans more tropical and it still has a sweetness to it, but I truly, truly enjoy this on its own. I don't have to layer this with anything else, and it is still perfect for summer. Alright guys, well that concludes all of the coconut scents that I have in my collection. If you enjoyed the video, definitely feel free to subscribe down below, and I will see you on the next video.